I want to talk about how to make a swimmer, person swimming. I first work on the arm motion right now. This is the shape that will be the basis of the forearm. The forearm is the part of the arm from here to here. These show some examples of where the arm comes up from underneath the water line and how it's lifting the, this isn't the forearm, this is the, from the bicep to the elbow. This is the upper arm. So these shapes all represent from this area to this area. You can see the sort of top view of what it looks like. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are ideas for how the upper arm is extending from the waterline forward. It starts backwards and it moves this way, in here, and here. The hand lifts up out of the water and then it goes up as the forearm extends, and then it dives down and it disappears underneath the water, and then it disappears completely. So that's what I'm attempting to describe when I look at the motion of these shapes. I want you to imagine this would be like looking top down at the, that would be about right there. This is top down looking at the strata cut shape. You want this upper arm to go up a little bit. Now again, you have to imagine that the chop, the slicing line is like this, right? You want the where did it go? You want the upper arm to go up a little bit. This is the shoulder all along here. The shoulder emerges from the water along here, and then it actually goes down. So this is backward, if you will. If you look at the baseline, this is backward, going down from the line of the cut. This is very delicate stuff, because if you're off, if I were to place this into the block and be off a little bit like that or a little bit like this, it would change everything radically. It doesn't take much, so it's a really highly calibrated piece. You can see also from the top view, if I were to draw this, and this is my, it's my block, I'm cutting this direction, my slices are like this. Here is the upper arm emerging. Here's where the elbow, or sorry, the shoulder joint emerges. And here's where the upper arm goes back in. That's kind of what this piece is supposed to look like. This is going backwards against the cut right here, because you want the arm to disappear first. You want this part of the arm, the upper part, about here, to be disappearing before the shoulder finally disappears as it's diving back in. Now, if you look at the line on top of it, this is the elbow. I'm following the elbow joint all on here. This line goes like this, in a sense, between these two. And if you look at what this shape makes, it's a adaptation of the hourglass that hourglass shape came from the inchworm. If you looked at a previous tutorial, the inchworm is kind of like an hourglass. If an inchworm was built, you look down at that shape. This is it pinching together, becoming very high, becoming very low, and if you're going to put it in motion, it kind of has this advanced hourglass, and now you can see that is an adaptation of that advanced hourglass idea right there. All right? I hope that makes some sense. Let's talk about the upper arm finally. The upper arm will be moving along on top. The idea here is that it emerges from the elbow. These two parts emerge first. The elbow joint is the first thing to come up above the water before the shoulder really arises, and before the it's like the elbow is coming up first before the shoulder. It's rising up like that, right? And then the hand will be put attached all along here, eventually, all along this edge. And then it'll be cut. It'll be cut like this. And that means that this will dive back down into the water. The forearm goes into the water first, which is what you're seeing here. That this shape means this is about right here in the cut. Let me show you. This position 1 is about right here in the cut. This position 2 is about right here in the cut. Position 3 is about right here if I were to cut it. Position 4 is about right there. This would be the hand just about to touch the water again, right along there. Position 5 is right back here, where this part of the forearm is already dived in. Down here, the upper arm has not quite all receded, and so that's why that's position 5. Again, if you're cutting this direction. All right. To complete the piece, after putting this piece in, I'm going to go ahead and add some extra. These are all swimming motions. These are all the upper arms that I've created. I'm going to add some extra beef to the piece. So it's going to be a two-colored thing, where it's sort of sort of a dull yellow-green, and then sort of a red-orange flesh thing going on to thicken up the arm. So it's going to be, in a sense, a drop shadow of the arm shape. And if I were to complete that, then I create this, and then I finally end up with something like that, where I've added, I've wrapped an extra thickness of another color. This brings a little variety to it, so it's not all just, again, simple colors are only good if you have textured colors next to them, I think. Really creating all your clay animation with Strata cut animation with simple colors is kind of boring, because what's really fascinating about the clay is the kind of texture patterns that can go on. So I like to put figurative motion with a bit of abstraction and a bit of clarity, and that's kind of what this is doing. It has a bit of clarity in its shape, in its color, in its and then a bit of abstraction. So this would be the completed arm. This is the completed stroke motion of the swimmer, and this is going to be how I would make a hand. The hand is, I'm going to actually start very large and then put in just a little bit of a definition color. This is the, of course, the sort of yellow, the sort of flesh red, and then the a blue is going to be a gap color. So what I'm going to try to do with this little sandwich of color now is make 5 fingers out of it quickly, and compress the 5 fingers down into a very small little hand that could be attached to the very end of this piece, where this where the forearm ends, and you want to begin to see the hand that's coming up and then diving in, because swimming is a lot about the hand being cupped toward, anytime you're animating an arm, you're animating 3 things. You're animating generally the upper arm, the forearm from the elbow down, and the hand and the wrist motion. So this adds the third piece of that to do the wrist motion. Again, taking from this little thumbnail example. right now I've got 2 fingers made because I'm compressing and stretching. Trying to make it as small as possible because it has to be proportionally pretty tiny to get down and be the hand that's at the end of this arm. So I've completed all 4 fingers now, and all I would need is a thumb. And I may do that. It's a pretty big hand. I'm going to need a thumb and a palm. Maybe I'll do it that way. So to get the palm, I think I'll use a couple of these colors combined. And get just a blob. That's about, I don't want the hand to be much larger than this, so I have to miniaturize a great deal more. This will probably be enough hand for 2 different stroke motions by the time I'm done. So that's the size of the palm I want, and that's even that is probably a little too large. Then that means these fingers have to get a lot smaller. I continue to push and extrude, get them tinier and tinier. And there. I'm going to plant them down on the basic palm. I'm also still pushing and extruding as I go. It's not a it's not a perfect palm, but you can see that it's kind of got the suggested shape of. You don't see all 4 fingers yet. There's all 4 fingers, and the palm shape might be a little too big compared to the fingers. So I'll probably trim that down. Anyway, by the time I'm done, I'll say, all right, this is enough. And this is where the hand goes. Since this is going to be at such an advanced angle, that means this goes back to the law of pre-distortion. If this was how I wanted the hand to look, I actually have to make the hand even thinner and even smaller as it sticks onto the end of this forearm. So I'm going to have to keep extruding out. I'm going to ignore the thumb for now. And here it is, the hand that finishes the motion. What I want to do is be diving in, and so when you see, you have to imagine perhaps that I'm cutting, if this is the block direction of being cut, I'll be cutting kind of like that. I want that hand to be diving into the water right there, and then I want it flipping up here, and probably flipping back down as it goes down here, back into the water, because when you're lifting your hand up first, it flips up and then it slaps back down. And that's what all this motion, this extra motion, this hand motion I'm trying to do will be. Now you can see that when you cut it at an angle, of course it gets longer and skinnier, and right now all the fingers are sort of pinched, but that gets the idea across. This is going to be cut about this direction. Ding, 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 ding. Here the hand is pointed downward, here it's lifting up, like that, and here it'll be flipping back in, and this completes the steps that make the basic building blocks of the upper arm, the forearm, and the hand, as this arm is coming out of the water and then going forward and then stroking down again. This is to create the motion of the swimmer.